Hi, everybody. This is James Van Praagh. I'm here with Kellee White. Hi, Kellee.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody.
Life after death and beyond. Here we are.
Yes, here we are with predictions.
Are we here or beyond? Well, a little bit of both, I think. And Kellee, last week we did our podcast. Yes. We didn't do our podcast because it was canceled. And for those who are listening, regular listeners and our fans here, the reason why was because, and Kellee will go more into this, I was not ready to do it because I had been traveling to New York to do some family matters, an ailing family member. And also my good friend Carolyn Mumolo, very good psychic reader, card reader, had passed away. And I was, I don't know what word would be, Kellee, shot down. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you were really shot down. I mean, it was
by the energy of the real bunch of things. The flying to New York was a trip, but it was a great trip, and I had a great seatmate, and we ended up knowing each other from years before, which is funny in itself. But then the vibration, the density of the energy, I found a lot about energy, and getting into New York and Queens, and I hadn't been there in a long time, and it had changed as far as the density of it, and I felt this pushing, and it really affected me. And Kellee knows because I was talking about the energy of the place. And
well, and what I've been talking about is that in Vedic astrology, Uranus, which is the planet of, energy and internet and communication and spiritual awakening and all kinds of things, it went into Taurus on June 1st. And when that went into Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign. So it is going to take us some period of time to get adjusted to this new energy, James. And you were traveling right during this change period where people were knocked out from the energy.
Yeah, and it felt like Star Wars, where, there's a scene in Star Wars where the ship is flying through space, and you had to watch out for those big asteroids and the rocks coming at you. And that's what it felt like when I was walking in the streets of New York and Queens. And it was very strange. I was so disoriented, and I'm usually not too disoriented. I was disoriented. It took me 2 miles. I walked 2 miles the day after I arrived to find my rental car, which was eventually I found out it was parked 2 blocks from the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
I was so disoriented with the energy and the change, and it was weird. And the time zone, of course, changed, but it was very strange. And the whole week was really strange. And then when my friend Carolyn passed away and it was visiting her family, it was all too much energy. I couldn't wait to come home. And I said to Kellee, I can't do the podcast because it's just, I'm exhausted.
It's just too much.
Yeah. It was too much. So no predictions. I say the predictions. And then till tonight, and then we have more predictions. I added on to them, and Kellee added on to your predictions.
Yes, we have some. And interesting enough, interesting enough, we're about ready to start with our predictions. But as we were going on air, Wix is down. So anybody who has a Wix website like me, like a lot of people I know, globally, it's down. Wix is down.
Yeah, and that's one of the first predictions I'm going to make is that this is just the beginning to see that there's going to be a lot of internet interruptions. And today is it's June of 2024. Just so
June 17.
June 17th.
2024. And the day today is a 22-day, James, which means all about structure. So it is interesting that we're going into a predictions on a structure day when we're watching a lot of structures change. Falling apart.
Changing, transforming. Yeah. So, yeah, and it's important we put the date there so we're coming up in the future here. And Kellee and I, we're different people, so we'll pick up on different things. And I just opened myself up to whatever came in, whatever I want to, whatever I was receiving. And Spirit quickly said to me, when you do prediction work, that you have to understand that many things sometimes are hidden for the human, because there are lessons to be learned, and if you have the answers, you're not going to learn those lessons. And some are indeed global, so international, global. So we cannot always know the answers, but there are certain things they brought through, and time element is different too, because there is no. I don't. With my predictions, it depends on the actual prediction itself. But Kellee, I don't know about you, but I found somewhere easy to get the time and somewhere not at all. And sometimes I was way beyond in years even.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. And also, let's not forget, Earth is a planet of two things. We've got duality here. Duality is duality actually means, it's like the opposite of. It's the opposite of. It is, right and wrong, big and small, conscious and unconscious. good and evil, black and white. So on Earth, it allows us to experience both types of energy, the shadow side and the light side. And so from one perspective, we're learning all different types of energies that are out there, because Earth is a duality. So also, Earth is not just duality, but Earth also is a free will place. So James, we can make the predictions, but where there's free will involved here as well.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very, very much so. So, and also, I think it's important that we realize that it's what you focus on that comes with realization. So, I always say it's like a radio, a bandwidth, and 89.9 can be fear and upsetment and destruction, and 106.7 can be love and peace and harmony. I'm going to go to 106.7. Now, I can be aware that those maybe negative things can happen, and they will happen, but I don't be caught up into that frenzy. I don't have to be. And that was very much on my trip. I was not going to get caught up in the fanaticism, the craziness of it all.
Right.
We easily could right now, especially right now in these times we're living
especially when energy starts to change the way it is right now, James. And it really is changing. We have big planetary shifts that are coming up. So this kind of energy, we're all going to feel frenetic. And it's going to be an interesting way to view things, because some of the energy will be, you'll feel so upbeat and so positive, and in the next minute you might get pushed down by this intense energy. So it's going to be like a roller coaster.
So it feels like a big giant stepping on you sometimes,
right?
Or it feels like you're on top of a mountain singing. I mean, it is.
Well,
it feels very wavy too.
Did you know yesterday there was I think it was yesterday, and I think it was in Portland. It was over the weekend, maybe, about this like not a Ferris wheel, but one of these rides that people go to, and it turns people upside down.
They were stuck.
And when they got stuck for 25 minutes. 25 minutes.
Oh, I would not like that. I would not like that.
But imagine the thrill of going up, and then, that's what I'm talking about. These are some energies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, starting with that, Kellee, do you want to talk about those sorts of things, mechanical things, or?
Well, let's talk about.
And I'm going to get hits on things as we talk about it, and we'll come in with stuff.
I think what I really want to start with is this energy that's coming on the planet right now, because there is a lot of energy that's coming on the planet right now.
And why is that, Kellee?
Because if you look at, we have the solar flares, we've had sunspots, we've had aurora borealis, the northern lights, the things that are in different areas that are happening. And when this happens, this energy starts to flood the planet. So, and it's a high frequency energy from the sun, and it brings this an energy of enlightenment. But what happens is it has to get through this density, right? It has to get through this density. And so the density, or we'll call it the shadow because
will be activated.
Will be activated. People's shadow, it's already been activated. People's shadow.
Kellee, let me just jump in there and interview. So the fear is, a lot of people are feeling the fear right now, and all that limited consciousness and fear, and people are angry. That is that shadow part being activated, right? That darker
it's
part.
Hatred, it's aggression, it's selfishness, it's jealousy, it's resentment, it's sexual transgression. Normally, James, it used to be that these kind of things were hidden. Like, you'd always meet somebody and you go, that guy's passive aggressive.
Yeah.
But it was often socially hidden. Nothing is going to be hidden now. Nothing is hidden.
It's coming to the surface. And
it's coming to the surface.
To be healed, or to be looked at and dealt with.
Absolutely, because this is going to be the reason this light, this special light, is coming to the planet, is to change and shift our consciousness.
Right. So everybody, it's illumination. Remember,
it's illumination.
And we all chose to be here at this particular time.
Absolutely. And everybody has a shadow. Now, some people are almost all shadow. So, like they're the ones, and I will use this as an example, and I'm just going to get right on into it. Wait.
Before you get into it, can I just say one thing? Before we start. Carolyn Mumlow passed over, the card reader, showed me last week that she was in a place, they were giving her a tour of the other side. And they showed her, and she showed me, she goes, look at this. And it was a place where there were these beings, and they're almost like rock people. And she said, James, I don't understand it. These are like these beings, but they're not alive. They don't feel like they have any energy. They're not alive. They're just existing. And that murky. And she goes, I want to help activate them. I want to help open them up. I want to teach them how to have life, because they don't have life. And then somebody said to her, well, that's like this earth. the sleepwalking people. They live here too on the earth. They're unconscious. So the shadow sides of ourselves can be part of that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The shadow side. We all have the shadow. We all have a shadow. I mean, it just is. We all have that. But again, some people have more shadow than others. And so when when we see somebody with more of a shadow, what I'm going to say is that because I feel that this energy on the planet right now is really pouring in this light frequency. This is why we feel, some people are agitated by it. Some people have to sleep more. Things are changing. Consciousness is shifting. And I think in the next 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months, we are going to see some major changes here. And different events will happen. And when different events happen, and we have free will of how we're going to respond, but I really believe that people are going to have a change in consciousness. I think that there's going to be a huge shift in more of a consciousness than an unconsciousness. I think that the consciousness will wake up.
I just heard you've got to be pulled apart to be back together again.
I absolutely believe that.
To be back together again. And that's what our predictions are about.
Absolutely. And because, what happens is, and the events that I'm talking about, people will have, what wakes people up? Cancer is a big one. The death of a loved one, an earthquake. These are the kind of big ticket items that wake people up. And so my first prediction is that we're going to have a spiritual awakening on the planet more than we have seen before starting now. And we can already feel the shift in energy, but it's something that's going to happen, I believe, that changes all of us and starts to bring us to a path of this huge spiritual awakening. And so having said that, and a spiritual awakening is a life-changing experience, basically, that alters our consciousness. It shifts the way we think, and it leads us to a deeper understanding of ourselves, actually. So I really feel this is going to happen. Now, having said that, I feel that because I'm going to say that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this one.
Okay.
Because of that, now, if I look at the presidential election and I look at Biden's chart versus Trump's chart, I will say that Trump has an extraordinarily strong chart. Astrologically, he absolutely could win, but I don't predict that. And I don't predict he will win. And I'm going to say, I don't predict he will win because of this energy that I'm talking about that shifts the consciousness of the planet. And I think that Biden wins in the end.
So, I don't know. So I tuned into that. I wasn't sure, but I did pick up.
It's going to come down like this, James. It's going to come down to that last recorded symbol.
It's going to be a controversy. It's around the whole thing, whether who wins is going to be a total controversy. And the winner gets in, but does not stay long. And they're physically gone. So I don't know what that means, but I think it could be death or movement of some kind. Someone that gets in.
I agree with that statement. Very much. Very much.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
And I think that things become government-wise, political-wise, things are shifting, things will change. And we talk about the structure, the structure will fall down. I think there's going to be restructurings in certain places in Congress and the Senate. Interesting. And they're going to find out there are a lot of people, they're going to uncover a lot of, how can I put it? It came back. Secretive things they've been doing underneath are going to come to the surface. And it's not going to be 1 or 2 senators or Congress. It's going to be a bunch of them. It's going to be a bunch of things on both sides. Yeah. It's going to be, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. I think they have to come up with a new way of the political system too. I think there's going to be some kind of I think that will start to happen in 2026. I do. 2026. I think we're going to see a real teardown of what we have known. And then things will really, really change. But, let's not forget this election, when this happens at the end, we will have 2 eclipses. 2 eclipses. The first one is September 17th, and the second one is October 2nd. And at the same time, Saturn and Jupiter, the large planets, karma and responsibility, and the spiritualists, they will be retrograde during that time, James. This is going to be an unheard of time. Wow. As we get towards the end of the year here. Wow. I also have more congressmen and senators go to jail. I put that right down there. There's also going to be, it's really interesting. There's going to be a questioning in the branches of government. It's going to be a change in the branches of government. I just got that strongly. And also, again, I don't know when this occurs, but the money, currency, as we know, will be gone. whether it's going to be cards or some of their scanning something, the way of currency, it's going to be changed. That's for sure. I also got, we can right to the other side when you're talking about souls and the changes, ways. There's going to be a mass exodus of souls. And I think it's going to be through natural things that happen, land changes.
It could. Now, let's talk about land changes. I think that's very important what you said. Yeah. We have two things going on. This Uranus is in Taurus for 7 years. Uranus is the planet of awakening, sudden surprise, the electricity. It is in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign for 7 years, and it just went in 7 years. So they don't get along, James. And so absolutely what you're saying is we're going to see earthquakes. In fact, let's talk about earthquakes. Yeah. Because I feel that, and let me just mention this too. Mars goes into Taurus in Vedic astrology around the 13th of July, and it stays for till the end of August. Now that's important because then we'll have Jupiter in Taurus and we'll have Uranus in Taurus, and then we'll also have Mars. That could be huge earthquake. And I'm going to say in California that it fits that area.
Well, I'm going to go across the board and say the northern part of Italy to I'm going to say the east part of Italy. I see that. And I'm seeing also the northwest of whether it's America or Canada, that there's going to be a big break there. I also see a lot of flooding throughout the Americas, but also Canada and Europe. And I do feel there are going to be some places that were very high in the water levels are going to be down very, very low. I think there's going to be interesting in the Middle East. There's going to be some interesting land changes there. They don't affect earthquakes as well. I think earthquakes will be more in Turkey. And I think there's going to be something happening in China, around China. Something's going to happen that changes that. I also feel there'll be flooding around China or around Japan, that whole area there. I think there's a major flooding going on that's going to happen by October time. I do get that. But mass exodus, when I say that waves of souls come in to go out, can change. I just have to say what I see. And again, I don't think that the gun violence is going to change. I think it's going to get a little worse before it gets any better. I think there's going to be some gun control trying to have that, because things are going to get out of control. They're going to have to do something in this country. They're going to have to do something. There's going to be something changing. I also feel that there's going to be some changes in the United Nations, some kind of reform and something about restructuring something in the United Nations or opening up a new wing of it, something very, very different with that. And I see the Israeli-Gaza war will end, but another one starts and right near it. So that's very interesting. I do think there's been terrorism in New York. I do think there'll be terrorism around the United States. I do think that the grid will be affected, very much so. I think what you started today with, before we got on the show, was about the internet going down. I think I think there will be. I think the hackers, I think they're going to get into the monetary part of the institutions. And I just got to say that's what I'm seeing and sensing and feeling. So that's what I get with that.
Well, that's a lot right there. I mean, that's a lot. Well, you know, with all of these planets in Taurus, it's a very interesting thing with the big planets because it affects the farmers. But I really feel that food will be stable. I don't feel that there will be a problem with that. I really feel that that's going to be a stable thing. But I do believe that the weather patterns are going to change in ways that we could not believe, James.
I agree. It's going to get even more extreme.
Drastic. I mean, like we're already having drastic heat waves right now. But I want to say things like tsunamis, things like hurricanes, especially when we get to this July and August and September. This is a very intense time for weather patterns, and I see them changing.
Tropical areas are not safe. Sorry, no. But flooding, water, like I said, tsunamis. I just think tropical areas are not safe. Yeah, I just have to say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I also think that the solar flares will get worse. And I think that what happens is when these solar flares and when the sunspots come out, it brings so much energy. So the energy that comes to the planet, it is used. It's going to be an interesting way that people will use them. Some people will get agitated. Some people will get uncomfortable and pissed off. But then what happens is it also has a way of opening people up spiritually. I predict that we're going to see more people spiritually than we have on the planet, especially our generation. There seems to be something about that.
I just heard as you're saying that it's going to be a gateway for these enlightened and brightened souls to come out. And very interesting enough, the past
Ah.
2 or 3 days, I've met people, everyday people, got my hair cut by this guy, said, have you had Eckhart Tolle before? You know, James, everything is energy. He didn't know who I was. And people just talk about energy and
Right.
healing and so it is there, and people are opening and they're activating that aspect of themselves.
Yes, they are. Don't you find it fascinating when somebody does that?
I find it fascinating, and I'm really happy.
Right.
Because they
too.
get it. They get
Yeah.
it. And, you know, the more we can look up, the more we can receive. And the more you look down, the more limited you are. So you got to be open to receive and expand your view of things.
Yeah.
Really true.
But I think that's what happens. I do believe that people are going to start having spiritual experiences, spiritual awakenings, because this energy, where else can we go with this energy? I mean, it really does push us up.
Yeah, and Kellee, let me just go here because I have a bunch of different things that came through too. We're going all over the place. Sorry, everybody, but it's
That's
going.
okay.
Yes, I got new surges in green taking a planet Earth. So there'll be a new surges of green, of trees being planted, of organizations coming up that really care about Mother Earth and that really want to help Mother Earth. So I get a lot of that happening as well.
Yes.
A lot of trees being planted, a lot of taking care of the land, talk about the farmers, planting, but not just planting, but planting in a conscious manner as well. Not using as much pesticides, getting back to natural planting. I think we're going to go back to that. Magnetic energy will be utilized much more. They're going to find out much more about magnetic energy. Electricity is kind of almost on the way out, but there's going to be magnetic energy. Solar energy will be used. And I think that, I don't know, that feels like the corruptionness is going to be swept to the side and the enlightenment is coming in.
Well, I love what you just said. And let me just mention that because Jupiter in Taurus for the full year, for the next year, it brings up environmental causes, James. So I just want to agree with what you're saying. It means that environmental causes will be prominent, and things like trees and farmers and agriculture. I think that farmers will do really well this period of time. I do. Although we're going to see some wild weather.
I just read weather will be fierce.
Yeah, weather is going to be fierce.
Lots of fires, land changes, floods, lots of fires. I think it's going to be the worst fire season we've had in the West Coast in a long time.
Oh my gosh.
I really, really do. I just do.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, and things are going to be ramping up. You know, this is going to be a very interesting time. And I love that magnetic healing and health. Yes, a lot of that.
And also community living will be much more popular. Isn't that I got that here on that community living, because people will not be able to afford to live by themselves. So there's going to be these little communities that will pop up. And I really do get that. That was the sense I got when I was back in New York, that these houses that used to be one family houses are now gone. And they have 4 families in one house. So that's quite frequent. I think that's going to be more of a community sense of that, only because things are running out of control financially, I think.
Well, what's your hit on financial?
Boy. I don't get a lot on it, Kellee, but I don't get a lot on that. I don't get a depression. We get close, but I get a sense of, God, it sounds really weird, but I get a sense of globally, the globe's communities come together, governments come together to help the planet financially. And it sounds very, very weird.
Oh, interesting.
And there's also a third alliance I got, not just the NATO and Euro. I just get there's going to be a third kind of alliance, but I think they're going to help to share, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very hard for financially, but I don't see depression, but it seems to be a very hard struggle.
Well, and I think what also will happen is we're going to see stocks go way up and then down again, way up. I mean, just these extremes, just like weather.
How often is that, Kellee? The next 6 months, next year?
Oh, for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
For the next 6 months. And as we get closer again to the, November, I think things are going to be changing left and right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's very, very true. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Regarding the royal family, so people love to hear about the royal family.
They do love to hear about that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like the structure of that might change. After William gets in, I think something's going to be structure-wise might change. I know it feels like it's, I don't know. It just feels like it's going to change.
Well, actually, what you're saying is I think all structures are going to change.
Yeah.
Whatever the structures are, they're all going to change. I mean, we're in a real period of time for the next couple, 2 or 3 years of deep transformation, and it has just begun. So, I would say that. I do believe that Princess Kate will, or the future queen will be, her cancer shall be healed from that.
Good. Well, I hope so. Wow. I hope so.
Mm.
Wow. I do hope so. Wow.
I see that as her. That's going to be what she takes on as cancer.
Yeah.
To help the world.
I think there'll be a lot more. How can I put it? Before the show, we talked a little bit about UFOs and alien sightings. I think that's going to become more commonplace. I think it'll be more regulated. I mean, more as far as it's a regular thing that people understand more, and our governments open up more about it. I think that is definitely going to happen. I think we're going to start seeing that, and especially as these turbulent times go on, I think we're going to see more of that interface, I guess you could say. People have a strange idea. They think that aliens are negative and fearful. It could be just the opposite. The Pleiadian beings are peaceful, loving beings.
Oh, absolutely.
And we Earthlings need to open up our minds to those.
Yeah, and the energy that comes forth with that, and the knowledge and the information, could really be life changing for everybody on Earth.
Yeah. And it's funny, the community, as I was talking about living communities also, I think it's also another interpretation might be, we hear about churches and congregations and so forth. I think it's going to be more of that, a spiritual community, nothing not necessarily religious, but a common mindset. They get together as communities with a common mindset. Now, how many years is that away? I don't know. I can't tell time, but I can just see that there's going to be communities of spiritual beings who have a certain mindset come together.
Interesting. Yeah, well, absolutely. All of that is possible. This is going to be quite a year of growth for people too.
Yeah. And a lot of that, I said before, magnetic healing. I think there'll be some remedies for cancer, various types of cancers. I really do believe that. I think there's going to be something with breast cancer coming up too. There's going to be some kind of an insight about that. I think a lot of it will be from a genetic point of view. From they study the genetics, and that's going to find their answer. And I think they're going to find that we're going to be using a lot more of plant medicines of the earth. We're going to be using a lot more of our natural remedies. Like mushrooms and so forth, and herbs, and we're going to find more of that being used, and natural healings are going to take place. And I think there's going to be more of a mind medicine is coming in, more mind medicine, controlling your mind, your thoughts. People be more, and that makes sense, becoming more spiritually aware because they'll be more aware of their thoughts. The thoughts are energy. Energy is everything, and how you have to control your thought, be responsible for your thoughts, and that shifts things around.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that absolutely does shift things around here. Well, here's the other thing too, because Uranus just changed planets or changed signs into Taurus, it does bring up all kinds of new ways of healing of Earth, what you just said in Taurus. Interesting, of Earth, plant-based healing.
It's definitely going to happen, plant-based, without a doubt. But I think the mind-body connection is going to become very, very strong.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the forefront. And I think there'll be actual, you go to a doctor now, a doctor, but there's going to be a mind doctor. There's going to be like, not a psychiatrist, but there's going to be mind-body healings going on. Reiki is going to be very natural and normal for everyone. It's going to be a natural way of healing. It's really emotional healing. I think there's going to be a real strong connection of emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical healing integrated more. However that manifests itself, but I see that happening, the integration of all those four systems coming together as one. I think more and more people become aware of how their emotions affect the physical, the mental affect the physical. It's going to happen. It's going to be brought into the light.
Oh my gosh. So how can people deal with their fear?
Well, deal with their fear of. Fear is only of this physical earth. It's this three-dimensional mindset. It's not of the spirit. It's not of the. We're surrounded with all levels and fields of energy all around us. All different fields of energy. It's not just one. It's different layers, if you will, levels. And fear is of the human. It's the three-dimensional. When you step outside of your head space, what do you have to fear? I mean, it's just experiences. We're here to have experiences. There's nothing to fear. All there is love. That's all there is. And you have to just go through the experience. Whether you're in a hospital with cancer, it's going to be cancer. There's no death. So it might be the end of the physical this time around, but your soul is going to continue right on. And I think if you have the relationship with your soul now and the physical body, your soul, that you are a soul having a human experience, and you're here to take these classes and learn, and then it's time to graduate and move on. There's always love. Fear is the ego getting involved. I always say FEAR, false ego appearing real. It's just the human ego, I think the fear is of. And I think we have to let that go and try to find, do what we can in a microcosmic way to bring love and openness. When I was on this trip, and I always do this, but especially when I was on this trip to New York, I became very mindful of people that were not looking at me. As far as when I went to check in the hotel, the girl was down, looking down at the desk. Can I help you? And I said, love your smile. And I stopped them and I have them look at me in the eyes, no matter where it is, whether it's in a grocery store, whether it's at the hotel, whether it's a valet, whatever it might be. I have them look at and I acknowledge them. And everybody loves that. And that's what everybody has to start doing, because I think the internet and the social media has pulled us away from that connection with humans. And we need to get involved more in that love, heart to heart relationship. I think that will help everybody with the fear or the limited awareness.
Yeah. And that's what all about a spiritual awakening, because when people start to awaken in that form, James, they let go of the fear. They let go of the fear.
Kellee, I told you this when I went to New York. It was very interesting. I was sitting on the plane. This girl next to me said, "You have lovely energy." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you." And then a hotel, this man said, "He must be from California. You have lovely energy." I was like, "Thank you." But 4 different times, and I was in a hospital visiting people and said, "You have nice energy." Well, thank you. People acknowledged it. So it's there. It's just that I think I was in a dense place like New York. It was very dense, that this openness comes in. And on some level, they recognize that light, that energy. We all have it. And I think if we look for that God in every person, it's better. If that's what we're about, we'll find out that's our source. And we feel good about that.
Yeah.
Fear is an illusion. Only love is real.
That's so true. It is so true. And people have become so conditioned. But I really feel that there are so many events that wake people or shake people in the next few months that they will start being curious about things, curious. Well, is there a life after death? What happens to the soul? What's going to happen? I think that's what's going to wake people up.
It shakes people to their core.
Yeah.
It shakes them. Their belief systems are thrown out. Their structure, their way of being raised by their parents, whatever, thrown out. And they realize that they have to be themselves. They can't be anybody else. They can't be someone that their families thought they were or could be or should be. They just got to be themselves. And I think that whole thing about the transgender and the gay thing, the transgender thing, all that, the pronouns, the whole thing, it's just going back to be who you are, not who you think you are. That's who someone else wants you to be. Be who you are. Every single person is unique. Every single person is an incredible tapestry of the stars. And they got to live like that, because that unique tapestry is brought back here to bring everybody in as one. The biggest illusion, which maybe we'll find out in this next coming 6 months to a year, is that their sense of oneness, that we are all connected. My friend Carolyn just passed over. One of the first things she said was, well, that's exactly, we're all one. If people can only see that we're only on the earth. And she said to me, when you're on the earth, you're in a dark theater. Oh. You're watching the screen. When you step out of that theater, you see the light again. That's what people need to know, is that you're in that light and that's all one. In that little theater of the three-dimensional earth, you feel disconnected. When you step out, you realize, oh, you are connected. And that was just a movie.
Wow. What a great analogy.
Yes.
I'll have to use that one. Thank you, Carolyn. I think that's amazing, and we are all here, to learn.
It's true. And one thing we also have to realize is we should not judge, because it's just experiences. We're going to experience, and they're experiences that we have to go through, but we've signed up to go through, and we can't die. There's no death. So just experiences. Step back and see what's going to happen. And you can't judge someone else's experience. They got to go through it. You can love them through it. That's the best thing you do. Don't worry, because worry is fear energy. And when you worry about someone, you're sending fear to them. And you don't want that. You want loving energy, loving energy. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so true. So should we take some questions?
Yes, that sounds good.
We are having a human experience. Yes, we are.
It's a human experience, very different than any other place there is in these universes, in these galaxies. One of the things which is so interesting is as people pass over, and I've heard this, and Kellee, I'm sure you have for many, many years, they often talk about the worlds within worlds and spaces and places. And there are all these little, they can't even call them galaxies. There are no words in this human experience that would understand it, but these bubbles or places that you can go and discover when you step out of the physical. I'm sure you can also do it while you're in the physical if you let your mind expand. But you can go to these different places of, we call it life, different forms of life. And there are so many to understand and discover. And it's this wonderfulness of discovering these particles, these spaces, these places, and stop limiting God. God is limitless.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Absolutely. So
sorry, I go on, but this.
No, I love this. I love this. So will the magnetic healing, let's see if I can get it, also involve sound frequencies?
I think,
absolutely.
I think sound frequencies, magnetic healing, and I think visually that's all going to be combined. So I think you're going to be visually seeing something, or right now you could put the glass on and have that experience with certain technology. I don't know, people do that. But I think it's going to be visually, sound, magnetic healing. I think, and I also feel that the taste is going to be involved. Some with taste will be involved as well. And I do think, and bringing together smells as well, scents will certainly happen. It brings it all together as one healing art.
I love that. People are asking again what the shadow side is. So the shadow is, and I explained that earlier, but I will re-explain that. Shadow is like everybody has one. It's the dark impulses that we have, like hatred is one, or aggression is one, or sadism, or selfishness, or jealousy, or addiction, resentment. Those are the shadow side, and everybody has a shadow side.
Yeah, Debbie Ford was
she was that was her thing.
That was the thing with the shadow side, and she wrote about everybody has a shadow. So the executive who in charge of a big company might go and have some fetish at night or something.
Right.
We all have these weird things, so everybody has that, and it's a part of ourselves. But again, what do you give it life? Do you give it energy? Exactly. Look at what you give energy. We all have it. Like, I think everybody has an addiction of some kind or another. It's just how you handle that. What prominence are you going to give those things?
Well, and so what's going to happen, what I really feel, James, is this next few months people will be looking at their own shadow. They'll be looking at it.
Kellee,
what is it makes me tick?
And don't you think right now people have been living in the shadow for so long now with COVID?
Yes.
People are afraid and fearful.
Well, absolutely. And that's why I'm saying, James, you're right on with that, because this energy that's coming on the planet will literally force us to look at our own shadow. And then when we look at our own shadow and deal with our own issues, and then what happens is we start to shift our consciousness. And that's when I see a change towards the election. That's what I see happening. Because
the shadow clouds our perceptions.
Yes.
It clouds our perceptions.
Well, we respond from the shadow. You know, people they get connected through traumas. Their traumas. People get connected through their shadows.
There could be some people that they're very angry people, nasty people, and I always just say, that's how very nice. Good for you.
Yeah, right. You're very good about that.
Don't give it any energy. That's their stuff, not yours. Don't let their stuff be yours. Don't let them visit that on you. Say that's very nice, but neutralize it, because it's not your stuff. Either they're acting out. That's nice. Neutralize it. Don't take it on. Don't lower yourself to their level. Rise above their level, because who knows what they're going through. Bless them. I say, bless you, and move on, because you never know, who are we to, don't go down to their level.
No. Oh my gosh.
You want to rise above that.
Absolutely. And I want to address this because I've been asked this a lot, James. I don't know if you're aware of this, but a white buffalo was born on June 4th.
I've not heard this. What is
oh my God. It's the Lakota prophecy that says better times are coming. And it's such a rare event. And this actually happened. And so I really do believe that better things are coming. I think we have to go through a lot of change and transformation in the next few months, but it'll get better.
This is a place of love.
Yes.
And this is a school. And you cannot have the good without the bad. We consider it the bad, or perceive as the bad. It's learning. And learning isn't always easy. And we know that from our lovely families that we've come from. We learn from the most from. They're just conditions. There's certain things that are set up. We don't necessarily have to, again, dive into that. We can experience it, observe it, but not be a part of it. And I always love that. Observe, don't absorb.
Oh, that's one of my favorite lines. Absolutely.
You can't do that. You just step back and realize you're having an experience. Your human experience. It's not who you are. It's one of many schools that the soul goes to. One of the hardest schools, but it's the soul.
It's the hardest.
It's the hardest.
Absolutely. I
So
think
give
it's the
yourself a pat
hardest.
on the back. Yeah,
Right.
give yourself a pat on the back for being here. That's really what
Oh,
you should put your
and
mind to.
especially at this time period. This is the roughest time period to be a soul on Earth. I mean, really, the fact that we're all here having these experiences is extraordinary, James. So one of the things I
Like,
do want to
before
mention.
you go on, let me ask this before you go on. You know, the Key Bridge there in Baltimore that fell down.
Oh
I think
yeah,
we're gonna
right
have
at
a
the
lot
day
more
of the eclipse.
the
Yeah.
day of the eclipse. There's going to be a lot more infrastructure stuff going down.
Yes.
There's going to be roads that fall down. There's going to be sewer lines that they're going to mess up a lot of things with sewers. I just see that infrastructure is going to fall down. I think there's going to be a tunnel that's going to collapse. And I think there'll be lives lost in that tunnel. I think there'll be cars in the tunnel. I think there's going to be another bridge that goes down, at least 2 more bridges. I just feel there's going to be, and this is something I've heard, which is very interesting. I don't know when this is going to happen, but I think I told you this before. I heard once, probably 3 months ago, when airplanes start falling from the sky, this time to be concerned. And what it is mechanical failure. And because things are not looked after enough, or regulated enough. And it's going to be a change in that. It's going to be a big change.
I agree with that statement, actually. Yeah. People were asking about what is going to happen with the future of addiction. And I will say that a lot of healing on addiction is going to start appearing right away, soon, in the next few months. We're going to see a lot of change in the way addiction is handled.
But I think also with addiction and the healing of addiction goes with healing self. So becoming self-aware. So I think
everything goes back to self-awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Once more, you become more aware of self and love of self, and what is the addiction? What is the reason for it? What is it teaching you? Again, you go back into self, and once you have that relationship with self, and you can start understanding yourself at a different level, and what that addiction fulfills within you. It's that need that you think you have to have. Listen, I'm addicted to coffee. I love my coffee every morning, and it becomes ritual. That's fine. And I have me a cup of coffee right here, for God's sake. But no, that's okay. And I'm addicted to my dog. That's okay. I think things that don't hurt you or hurt others, it's okay. And this is an addiction school, by the way. This is Earth School's addiction school. So everybody has addictions. I don't know if you ever get over the addictions or you just put it to the side or.
No, you work through them, but I think there's going to be new forms of healing for that. Maybe a gentler way that people can through some new techniques, some new something, James, happens.
I think there's going to be a lot of also, Kellee, some brain surgery, new developments in brain surgery, using the brain, using parts of the brain for healing. I think there's going to be much more of passing energies and using currents of energy from people to others. And I think there'll be these current places that people go to for balance and healing. We know that already with massage and Reiki and so forth, but I think it'll be more prevalent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense here, actually. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, James, before we forget, let's mention we have a couple of things coming up.
We have a couple we want to share with everybody because things are happening and very quickly. So we should. This weekend I am doing a healing grief workshop. It's a live healing grief workshop Friday night and Saturday, and it's on my website, vanpraagh.com.
No, it's not this weekend.
No, it's next
June
weekend.
28th and 29th.
See, I'm out of it next weekend. This weekend is something else I'm doing here, but I'm doing a garden thing on my own garden healing this weekend. The following weekend will be healing grief. That's right. And Kellee, you have something coming up.
I have something this weekend. That's how I knew I was doing it. On June 22nd, we have healing family trauma. So if you are interested in taking our Zoom class on this Saturday, it's with Dr. Shirley Pellizzari and Carrie Gonia, and we're going to be doing a family constellation. We're going to be talking about healing family trauma from 3 different perspectives: psychology, spirituality, and a family constellation. So please join us if you can. It's going to be extraordinary on Saturday. You can find that on the links will be up here, or they'll be on my website. If my website is back up, who knows?
Yeah, it will be tomorrow, Kellee.
And then you and I have a big event coming up.
We have a big event, and I'm going back to my cousin's 75th birthday, and Kellee's going to go with me, and that's in New York. So I'm meeting Kellee in Chicago, and that's going to be in July 26th.
July 25th. We have a big event, July 25th.
Kellee and I are going to do a live demonstration together.
Yes.
And we're going to do that in Chicago. So,
So if you're in the Chicago area, we're going to be in Lake Forest. If you're in the Chicago area, please join us on July 25th, and we're going to have a meet and greet afterwards.
And it'll be on our websites this week. We're getting the
Yeah.
graphics all done right now, but it'll be there. So check us out for that. And currently, right now, on my school, the JP School of Mystical Arts, I'm doing a Father's Day sale, and it's 33% off any certification course that you'd like to take. So it's worth looking at. And if you feel, that you want to get involved on a more serious level, then please check that out. The school, the JVP School of Mystical Arts. It'd be great.
Yeah. I love that. Fabulous. Okay.
We have some great guests coming to the podcast in the upcoming months. We're getting them already now, but I've got Anita Morjani, and we've had some other, we're going to have some more great people, very well-known people, and I think you'll enjoy it. And the more we go on this journey together, this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Father's Day flash sale, 33% off on all certification courses. That's great.
Mediumship, psychic, and the healing. It's pretty in depth. And we're just working on this other thing, a tarot course. We're working on that right now, developing that, and that's come along really well. But yeah, please go to school and check out those courses if you'd like. 33% off on the flash day sale, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, so Kellee, regarding predictions, can anyone make their own predictions? How do they make their own predictions?
It's a good question. I think.
I thought I'd ask you.
Well, I think if they just tune into their own intuition.
That's exactly the words you're going to say. I knew it. Yeah, exactly. So tune into that space of the knowingness, because we all know these things. And I don't know, however you want to do that, whether you can visualize a curtain opening up and you're aware of new things happening, whether you are aware of the space above you and you open that space up with, sometimes I put a light bulb on and I just become aware of what happens, because there is no time. Remember, time is only linear of the three-dimensional world, but there is no time. So you can scan we call the future of events that'll be coming in. See maybe some events from the past, and then we're at presently and what you feel coming in. So there's all different ways to do that. Techniques. It's like a certification course. I teach that.
Which is a great course, actually. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one.
I mean, God, universe, whatever you want to call that energy, gives us all the answers, all the knowingness. I mean, everybody that passes over, including Carolyn and my good friends, they always say, please tell everybody that they have the knowledge within themselves. If they just be willing to open up and go inside and see who they really are and use that knowledge and that awareness and that connectedness. We're always connected. All the time.
She gave you a lot of wonderful information.
Oh yeah. I'm going to share one more thing Carolyn said to me, Kellee. Said, I mentioned this to you the other day. She showed me the shadow world, the Shadowlands, that they brought on a tour and showed her these rock people, these beings that were not aware they were even being alive. There was no activation, no animation. And she said she wants to help open them up to an awareness. But then the next day she showed me, I was getting ready, I was getting dressed and brushed my teeth. And she showed me, she said, James, this is where I am now. Look at what they're showing me. And she brought me to a space where there were these beings, everyday type people, I guess, and they were pulling these inspirations. I don't want to say filaments, because there are no words we can describe it, of ideas, colors. And they were putting them together, and they were creating designs. They were creating designs for stemware, for dishes, for fabrics. And they were creating all these colors they were pulling in. And it was so wild. It almost reminded of lightning bugs coming in. And then she said, they take all this and they bring it to an open mind of an earth person and the open receptivity. And they download it to an open mind on the earth of someone who was able to bring that creation to materialization in the physical.
Wow. Is that why when an energy comes in, more than one person can get it?
Yes.
For a creative idea.
That's exactly right. Zeitgeist. We call it the zeitgeist. So it's put there and in a level that's all put there, the zeitgeist, these ideas, these inspirations, and those that were open to receive that vibration will pick up on some of it, part of it, all of it. And that's where great ideas come from. Interesting, isn't it?
It's fascinating. I think that Carolyn's been very active with you.
Very, very busy. Yeah. So, well, thanks, Kellee, for this wonderful predictions. And everybody, I hope you had a great time and interesting information. And
thank you, James. That was great.
That was great. Interesting stuff. So
very exciting stuff.
On tape here, so when these things start happening, we'll be like, okay.
Okay, right.
Thanks, everybody. And join us.
Thanks, everybody.
Next week again. And we'll see you then. Okay. Bye-bye.